Yes, welcome everyone here to the Smash Sports Show right here on Smash FM here on Lockdown Thursday here in Melbourne. Of course, let's go to our friends over in, well, not quite the US. It's a little bit further to us home because we're heading to Hawaii in particular. And of course, speak with the Hawaiian women's basketball team. Of course, they're preparing for their season coming up in about 2 weeks' time. And of course, we've got a very special guest on the show. It's been a while since we actually had this play on the show. Because the last time was when the Wahine team was actually here in Melbourne a couple of years ago. Because she joins us right now. Her name is Amy Atwell. She joins us now. Thanks, Amy, for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me on.
The preparations going into the upcoming season.
It's going good. It's definitely a lot more structured and full on than last year was. Obviously, we had a lot of interruptions with COVID and didn't get to have that full preseason. But it's going well, and it's really exciting to have that kind of feel of a full preseason and preparation back.
As I mentioned, last time we had you on the show, it was down here in Melbourne with your Hawaiian team, which obviously you were one of three Australians that was on the team at the time. Now, obviously, you're the only Australian, I believe, still on that team. I guess, how's it like for you to, go from you got some Australian players in your team to virtually no one?
It doesn't really affect me that much. I mean, obviously it was really nice coming in with Courtney my freshman year, and then Mackenzie coming along a year after, and it was really nice to have that sense of home around me. But I've kind of also found my home away from home over here over the last few years. So it was definitely nice having a few Aussies on the team, but it doesn't really bother me either way.
The expectations on this team, is there high expectations on this team this year?
I wouldn't say high expectations. We have a lot of new girls this year, so I think we're a little bit of an unknown to the rest of the conference. There's kind of internal expectations from ourselves, like we know what we expect and we know what we want to achieve this year, but in terms of external expectations, I don't think there's much there at all.
I'm really interested to ask, and I never got a chance to ask this a couple of years ago. Obviously, where you are based out there in Hawaii is obviously it's sort of separate from the rest of the country. So I'm assuming you do a lot of traveling to the mainland in the US, especially on the West Coast. I guess tell our listeners out there, I guess, what is it like to, I guess, do practice and all that, and then you have to fly maybe 3 or 4 hours to the West Coast?
Yeah, it's like 5.5, 6 hour flight to California from here. And we do a lot of traveling just because of how isolated we are. Pretty much every road trip we have is a flight. So our whole conference is based out of California. And then we have preseason games in a lot of West Coast states like Vegas, Washington, Oregon, and stuff like that. So especially once we come, I think we have our first road trip coming up in a couple of weeks, and we fly into San Diego and then go to LA as well. And it's kind of crazy. We get used to it. It's almost, we jump on a 5.5, 6 hour flight every second week. And it definitely takes a toll on your body, but you kind of get used to managing that. You find your individual ways to kind of get your legs back underneath you after traveling. And it's just it's something we have to do. So there's no way around it. It's just kind of managing it and kind of finding out across time what works for you best. Yes, it's definitely a crazy schedule going. So normally we play Thursday, Saturdays, and we'll fly out of here Tuesday, come back Sunday. So we'll practice here Monday, fly out Tuesday morning. Depending on the travel day, sometimes practice Tuesday night when we land. If not, practice Wednesday morning. Play Thursday, practice Friday, play Saturday, fly back here Sunday morning.
At least you got a buffer where you actually have to play a double header while you're in the mainland.
Yeah, so we never fly over there for one game because it'd be pretty tough just going back and forward for one game here and there. So it's always double headers. It's always Thursday, Saturday.
I guess tell us a bit about your coaches there at Hawaii, and how important they've been so far this season.
So I've had Coach Beeman my whole 6 years here. So that's been great. I absolutely love her. I love her outlook on the game. I've learned so much from her across my time. I've had a few different assistant coaches over my career. Um, but like each one of them has brought something different to the table, and it's just a new opportunity to learn from someone new. Because I feel like everybody has different aspects and different outlooks on the game and different tweaks of how they do things, and it's just like soaking in that knowledge. This year, definitely the coach is doing a great job of getting us prepared. Obviously, last year was a bit crazy and all over the place, and the coaches did their best they could last year with keeping us all kind of level-headed with everything going on. But yeah, I'm super excited. They're doing a great job preparing us for the season.
Is there a couple players in your team we should watch out for the upcoming season for the Australian viewers that are watching the game?
I don't know if there's anyone that stands out. My point guard from freshman year, Nene Calhoun, is coming back off an injury. So I'm super excited to see her playing again. It's just been great having her back at practice. We have Kelsey and Deja, who were all freshman team last year, coming off the back of playing heavy minutes as freshmen and kind of got that double experience as a freshman year almost. So they're both going to be really exciting to watch. But I think everybody brings something different to the table. So I think we're just going to be an exciting team to watch as a whole.
Because in your conference in particular, there's quite a lot of Aussies playing who you're going to play against this season. How good is that to know, like, you look at the schedule, especially your conference in particular, and knowing that almost every single week or every single game you're going to be facing up against an Aussie?
Yeah, I think it just goes to speak to the kind of the talent level uprising in Australia, and more girls are coming over here and giving college a go. It's awesome. It's awesome to see, and it's awesome to play against other Australian girls. Obviously, most of them I had never played against anyway, from different parts of Australia, East Coast mainly. But yeah, it's definitely it's pretty dope.
Now let's talk a bit about your basketball journey for anyone that missed out on the interview that we did a couple of years ago. Where did it all start, and why did you choose it, Ames?
It all started when I was maybe about 7 or 8. My dad kind of came home. I had older cousins that played basketball, and my dad kind of came home one day and was like, "Hey, you want to give basketball a go?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." I was that kid that kind of played a little bit of everything. So I played a bit of everything in primary school and high school, and I just loved sports in general. So it was one of those things that was like, yeah, like why not? And then slowly played at the club level, I got better and better, fell in love with the game, and just kind of kept going from there.
And you might as well give your local basketball association a bit of a shout out.
Yeah, so the SSS10THYR was my junior association. Played with them all the way through. Still SSS10THYR at heart. Definitely have a soft spot for them. They actually just recently won the women's NBL One West Championship, so I got to shout them out for that one. But yeah, really great club.
What will be some highlights throughout your basketball journey so far, Em?
Definitely, I think it was my under 14 nationals playing with the SSS10THYR. We went up to Darwin, and that was probably one of my fondest memories as growing up. It was just a great trip, great bunch of girls, and we had won the grand final that previous year. So that one, and then definitely over here, I've had a few games. So 2 years ago, my best friend senior night, I didn't end up graduating with her, but I got the opportunity to walk around to court on her senior night, and that was probably one of my favorite memories as well. There's a lot of them, but those two probably stand out the most.
I'm sure one of your other ones, while you were at Hawaii in particular, would have been, you got the chance to, the team got the chance to come down to Australia. Obviously not necessarily to where you were, where you're based, over in Perth. But how special was it to, get that opportunity to return home, and get show the team around our country?
It was an awesome opportunity and super exciting, because it was one of those things, like, I've come over here and I've experienced their culture and the way they live, and like they've shown me around and kind of given me the ups and downs of the US and stuff like that. And then it was roles reversed. I got to take them back to my home country and do the same thing. And they were all like super excited and like just were soaking it all in. So it was a great experience.
Mentioned about the two Aussies that are obviously no longer with the team. Obviously, Courtney and Mackenzie. Do you still keep in contact with them?
Yeah, definitely. So Mackenzie's actually still one of my best friends. She's back in Perth. So I keep in contact with her a lot. Courtney a little less, but still here and there. Still pretty good friends with Courtney. They're both doing really well and loving being back home.
Now, you mentioned as well, about obviously how you got involved in basketball. So now, I guess reflecting on it, I know obviously you got this season to come. But what does the sport of basketball mean to you, especially being there in Hawaii?
It means a lot to me. I've been playing it for 15, 16 years now, and it's been like a huge part of my life for so long. I've always had a great support system with my family and my friends, and basketball has just kind of been that extra added on part. It means the world to me, and I want to play it as long as I can. It brings me so much fun and enjoyment, and the people I've met through basketball and the experiences I've had it's unmatched. People talk a lot about like what sports do for you as an individual. It's helped me a lot grow as a person, and has definitely shaped the person I am today.
Do you have any short and long-term goals in the sport of basketball?
Shortish term would definitely be Big West Championship this year. Over the next 6 months, that's definitely something I'm working towards, especially my last year. Haven't been able to get one yet, so fingers crossed. And then long term, I don't have anything specific. I do want to play for as long as I can, so come back home and play professionally to some extent.
Is there one team in this conference that you love to beat the most?
I don't know if one stands out so much. I think almost every team, it's like a great feeling to beat them. I think UC Davis has just been on top of our conference ever since I've been here the last 5 years, and there's a reason. They're a great team, great head coach, great system. So definitely beating them is like, it's a great feeling, kind of knocking off the top dog, definitely.
What would be your advice to people back home that should get involved in basketball?
Enjoy it while you can. Have fun with it. It's a great learning experience. It's a great sport. It'll take you places you have no idea about. It took me all the way to Hawaii. And just enjoy and have as much fun with it as you can while you're younger. Work hard.
Firstly, who had the most embarrassing moments at practice so far this preseason? What was it?
I don't know if embarrassing is the right word, but Nene is just a bit of a goofball. So she's always caught up doing something, whether it's talking trash or doing something ridiculous. It's like, I'm trying to think of a specific example off the top of my head, but she's just, we have a really good relationship too. So it's kind of just one of those things, like, we're always on the same page. Like, something will happen and like we will both have the exact same reaction to it. She's just one of those people that kind of just guess what's going through my head. But I don't know. It's just she has a lot of comments here and there, and she's the one person that's not really afraid to call anybody out on. So it's a fun time.
For that as well, any comedians, good singers and dancers in the team?
Comedians, everyone loves to think they are, but they're not. Singers, we actually have a few girls that can kind of sing on the team. I think Melanie, Jackie, and Ava all have pretty good voices. Dancing wise, I've heard Ava is a pretty good dancer. I'm yet to see it. Deja loves to think she can dance, but a lot of people would say otherwise.
I guess following up from that then, anyone into their TikToks, and have they gone TikTok famous yet?
Yeah, so most of the girls on the team have a TikTok. I had a teammate last year that was mildly TikTok famous. She had like 80 or 90,000 followers.
Wow.
So yeah, she was pretty up there. I don't think anybody on the team this year is. Yeah, no one this year is TikTok famous yet.
Yeah.
A few girls have had a few videos that have blown up and gotten tens of thousands of views, but not so much the whole page.
On top of that, I always ask all the Aussie players that are currently over in the US, these next three, which is there anyone on the team try to put the Aussie accent, and how's that traveling?
Oh, everybody. one point or another, everybody's tried. I've been putting up for 6 years. They love to think they're like they'll do it and they'll be like, oh, that was pretty good, right? And I was just looking at them like, no. They'd be pretty good British accents, but not a lot of people can master the fine art of an Australian accent. It's the no is their favorite one. My whole team says no now, and not even to mock me either. Not even after I say it. Like it'll just be everyday life. Like I'll just be standing there mute, and someone will say something, and someone will be like no. But it's just something I've learned to deal with. It's a bit of a laugh.
Convince any of your teammates to join you back in Perth and come back to Australia?
I haven't convinced anyone to come back full time, but I think almost everybody has been pretty interested in coming back for a visit at least. One of my teammates was meant to come back the summer. It was June, July last year, just after COVID had hit. So before COVID, we had plans. She was like, yeah, I'm going to come back with you for a couple of weeks. And then obviously couldn't happen because of COVID. But definitely got a few girls lining up to come once the borders open and allowed back in.
Have you tried to convince any of your teammates that we have kangaroos as pets?
A lot of them actually have asked me like, oh, so the kangaroos just bounce around the city? I'm like, yeah, right up the school. No. I actually have convinced a few teammates because I had cousins that lived on a farm growing up, and they actually had like, I wouldn't really say a pet kangaroo, but they found a little Joey kangaroo one time and kind of had to raise it a little bit, and it would kind of hop off and come back every now and again. So I have a photo as a young kid holding a baby kangaroo. So I'm like, no, guys, I had a pet kangaroo when I was little. And I just showed them the photo, and they're like, wait, actually, like it just lived in your backyard? I'm like, yeah. But no, eventually I let them in on the joke, but.
Do you have a pre-game superstition or ritual?
Not really. I'm one of those people I try to be very relaxed going into a game. I've never tried to get into rituals or superstitions too much because anything can kind of happen leading up to a game, and you don't want to be thrown off just because I couldn't do this or I couldn't get through this ritual or I didn't do this today. Definitely like to listen to music pre-game to kind of pump me up a little bit, but apart from that, I'm pretty like relaxed.
You mentioned about the NBL 1 West Conference champions, the Tigers. I guess did you get a chance to go back home at all during your summer and obviously watch them play?
Yeah, so I went back home, left here middle of April, got out of quarantine end of April, and then came back here start of July. So I had a couple months at home. And I went and watched 2 games, I think. Yeah, one of my whole junior Williston team, actually, we all got together and went to a game together. So that was actually pretty fun. It was good catching up with all the girls. But I went to a few other games of a few other clubs as well.
Amy, thank you so much for joining us. It's awesome having the show. It's been way too long since we last had you on the show. And obviously, please send our best wishes to your teammates for us, and obviously say hi to your coach as well. Best of luck, and hopefully all goes well, and hopefully get that elusive conference championship that you've been waiting for 6 years.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
No worries. And that's Amy Atwell there joins from the Wahine women's basketball team. Of course, we'll put the schedule up, of course, in the coming days so you can follow their progress and watch their games online. There's more on the Smash Sports Show right after this. Don't go away here on the 10th year celebration.